happened. Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, beautiful people? Good afternoon. This is Drake with Everything Culture, and this is our Sunday happy hour. Everything Culture is the podcast for all cultures, the podcast with a purpose. Our mission statement comes from the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and that is, he believed that men hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other, and they don't know each other because of segregation. And because of segregation, we have miscommunication. So this podcast has been built on the pillars of respect, communication, and consistency, so we get to know each other, so we can love one another. And once again, we come together every Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we just have a little discussion with our community. And light conversations, real conversations, deep conversations, conversations. But we always have our pillars of respect, communication, consistency at all times, so we can get a resolve to whatever we're talking about or the feelings that we're expressing. You feel me? But right now, y'all see my face and y'all see Jennifer. Jennifer's new, and Jennifer will be a future guest. We have Jaya. Oh, we got T. Oh, and Christian just hopped all off. We're not scared of that bad. She probably meant to turn her camera on.
Right.
And then she just hit the wrong button. That's probably what happened. But it be like that sometime. She probably gonna try to beat me up about that. Y'all make sure to go check out Cinephiles Culture too. That's another project we're working on through Everything Culture. But yes, thank y'all for joining. How y'all week been?
My week has been most amazing. Lots of writing getting done, surviving the first real week of the children being out of school. So pray strength and wisdom. That's a hashtag. If you know, you know, because grocery bill need the anointing. You hear me? Grocery bill need the anointing.
Grocery bill. We gonna pray for that. Okay.
My week had me wanting to throw hands in the workplace, and I'm not too fond of that.
In the place of employment?
The place of employment.
We gonna keep the peace though. We gonna keep the peace. We ain't gonna let anybody disturb us.
It was a lack of communication.
Usually that's the case. How everything been handled on that way.
Yeah, I had to send out one of those. So for future reference emails. Yeah.
Goodness, okay. I'm glad we made it through that tea without that disturbance.
Yeah, my week was pretty much Friday. Finally laid my brother to rest, so it's a lot of emotions last week.
Yes. I know it was, but how are you feeling today?
Good. We had a good Father's Day service at church today. Began compliments on what I said at my brother's funeral, because I was me and my older sister, we were both the speakers. Did the As I Knew Him part, and then I was one of the speakers for the reflections, and I had people laughing. And then apparently one of my cousins, I feel like I'm blaming her pregnancy hormones on that one, because she was just like, part of it like made her want to cry, and she actually did cry. So I was just like, I didn't think I was that good, because I was trying not to cry. Yeah. So that almost made me cry every time I passed a family member stuff, either at the repast or like right when we was leaving or going to the burial. It was just like, you did really good. Like, I felt so touched, and I was just like, I was just talking to, basically I did it like I was talking to my brother. Yeah. And I guess that's what it was. And then I looked over at one point and saw my dad laughing, especially the part where I was just like, I thought, which is true, I thought my parents went to go get me and my sister some snacks and some presents, and they came back with a whole baby. And I was upset about that one.
Too cute. Oh no.
Pretty much it's been pretty good still, trying to cope and stuff like that. And okay, I'm finna go on mute because he's
care for the baby. Yeah, care for the baby. No, and I was just about to say, Christian, welcome back, Christian. You still have us, we still have you in our prayers, you and your family, for peace, comfort, and support, with this time of transition. Oh, and then we have Christian Joy. Hello, Christian.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Christian is a little bit under the weather, y'all. So
I know I sound amazing, don't I?
You sound great.
Oh, poor Christian. I sent you a message, Christian, to help.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm good. I really, other than that, I'm I'm blessed. I'm blessed every day. I had a excuse me. I had a tea party yesterday at church, which was really great. I love dressing up. And then we had
Oh,
and then we had a wrap party for the first post-graduation film that I've been in. We had it yesterday at the director's house, and it was so beautiful. I think that's where my allergies started getting messed up because it was outside, but it was he had the entire backyard like decorated like a film set in Mexico. And it was absolutely gorgeous. He went all out, and they're from Spain. So he made some paella and they barbecued. That was the best. Well, so far since I've been to LA, that was the best barbecue I've had. Most people were very, very friendly. I encountered one lady who was pretty much a white supremacist, and I got her right together. So that brought me a lot of joy yesterday.
hey.
And I ain't gonna get into the details, but it was, it was a good day. And now I can't breathe. So
I was make sure everything's checked up on, make sure it ain't no road, that stuff.
The devil.
Hey,
Yeah, we're not gonna speak that into existence.
it's alive though. That's one thing we ain't gonna do. Act like it ain't.
Mind you, the white supremacist
That's
yesterday,
true.
she was calling it the scamdemic. Talking about it's not even real. I was like, girl, go on somewhere.
Everyone throwing it around like in a
Listen.
circle. Let me tell you that.
They don't want to go there with me. Trust me.
Oh, goodness. So I'm glad y'all are doing well. And for the folks who are listening, who are in the chat, make sure y'all share it. Make sure y'all let us know how you're feeling too. And I'll do what I gotta ask. Have y'all listened to the most recent episode of Everything Culture?
Okay, so listen. I gotta go back and follow her social because what is it? What's it called? A hoochie what?
Hoochie Khan.
A hoochie con. That sounds fun as hell.
Hey, and it sounds educational. That's how she got my attention. So shout out to our most recent guest, Zareen. As well as, I don't know if I did the shout out last week, but especially if I didn't, most recent guest, Josiah as well. Greatly appreciate y'all for coming on. But with Zareen, saw her content months ago, and I was like, got a good thing going. Kind of like with Christian. Christian shares about actors and actresses, Black actors and actresses, faces you may know, but names you may not. But with Zareen, she came off like, hey, in the 90s, she came with a flair of being, with the early 90s, hoochie, what we can call it and generalize it, but the hoop earrings, the lipstick, the jeans, what's it got, a Daisy Dukes and things of that nature. The music,
long nails,
long nails, all that.
Well,
and I'm
not long, but overdone nails. Yeah.
Hey, whatever y'all want to call them. Hey, and I ain't gonna lie. It reminded me of my mother. Okay, it reminded me of my mom. I ain't saying my mom was or was not a hoochie, but she lived a life. Okay, and but it was fashionable. It was not only fashionable; it's a culture. All right,
right.
And she spoke about how that culture, not only even in the 90s, but even before, it's just the liberation of freedom of women, especially Black women, to be who you are and what you want to do in all different ways. So I was like, okay, let's chop it up. And that conversation, man, it just continued to grow and grow and grow. And, I don't know, you saw the clip about the color, where I heard the part about the color purple. Y'all know how I feel. Y'all already know. Y'all know. But when she said her movie was the movie she recommended was The Color Purple, y'all, I cut out like a good 30 minutes of conversation, just me and her just chopping it up about that. She's trying to reclaim the hoochie. I'm just not here for it. That's from an anonymous person right there. We got you.
First of all, I made a typo. It was for me, but I was trying to say that I am here for the reclamation of it. Because it's a form of shaming, and I'm not for shaming. And I ain't gonna say in any way, because I think we all shame in our own way, because we all judge. But I just can't publicly be here for it, unfortunately.
Oh, I understand.
Now there's other ways that you can be like. So So hoochie, when people hear the term hoochie, they think of a
Oh,
woman who's just out there in the streets.
promiscuous.
Yes.
Jezebel.
But there's a lot that there, it's more than that.
Yep.
Because I mean, like for instance, the fashion. Is it necessarily hoochie? Not really. It's just what was available to us at the time. I mean, we wore those styles. We wore the door knocker earrings and the acid wash jeans and the crop tops and the daisy boots. That was just what was available.
Mm. But that's what it. But some of the stuff was cut. But once again, same thing with the tie shirt in the back and all that. That was
Yeah.
It's not just about being available. It's about making it what it was, especially by being in the South when it's hot, and that the LA.
Right.
I don't know if
That's
the
what
heat.
that's what we had to do. Like it just, and it turned into fashion, but that's what the look was. That was the aesthetic.
And I would have to say that isn't what fashion and behaviors of collected. That's culture. Once again, fashion is a subset of culture, because usually you don't think it's fashion. You're just doing what you're doing until.
Right.
So, Dan, want to get a little. Do we want to talk about this a little bit?
And see, in the 90s, so in the 90s, you were pretty much, I know for me, there were two major aesthetics. So one was hoochie, in which you did that when you were in the park, or that's how you dressed when you were doing the things with the friends or whatever. And then the other was preppy. So it was balanced.
Preppy. So let's see. I would love for this week, because this will be another follow-up conversation. But it's when we think of like celebrities, actresses, movies, music, would represent the hoochie culture. I know they're busy right now, Zareen, because HoochieCon is next week, and I can only imagine what they're going through right now. Like they're marketing, they're trying to push it out. It's a vendor. It's like they're not just out there like a Freaknik. It's not that type of scene completely. But there will be a night for people to go out, dance, a party. It's going to be a vendor night, and it's going to be a night where we talk about history and known folks. And this is the first time she's doing it. First time it's being done, period. And they're really trying to make something different. Zareen is from Memphis, Tennessee, North Side to be exact, and talking about their childhood and upbringing and their perspective on life really kind of guides them into like, hey, this is why I feel like this era and time is so important to me. Actually, their birthday's next week, and the event is on their birthday. The dance night is on their birthday, so it's just something real dope that I'm glad to see somebody's doing something positive. Even though I know some people may look at like, gasp and clutch their pearls. I'm like, hey, once again, in every space, there's good and there's bad. I see good in this space. I see good with this person. So let's share the culture, because no matter what, the culture is culture, however you want to take it or not. Period. There's no run away from that.
Can I say something real quick?
Please.
What I'm thinking of is the negative connotation that's associated with hoochie, the word hoochie. I don't know if it's a regional thing, but growing up in the 90s, hoochie was the way somebody dressed. And it was specifically scantily clad, was specifically tighter clothes, short clothes. We're in Miami, so nobody was really wearing a whole bunch of clothes anyway. But hoochie was, small clothes, stuff hanging out, whatever. And it was always associated with the opposite of respectability politics. And it was girls who not only didn't care, but actually I take that back. They cared, but they didn't care about what people thought about them. And they set the standard, because I will never speak negatively of another woman again, especially a Black woman who dresses like that, because of how popular that aesthetic is right now with non-black people. And yes, it's a racial
Exactly.
thing. It's a racial thing because
Absolutely.
hoochie is associated with black women. When I think of hoochie, I think of Friday,
Mhm.
Paula Jai Parker, walking
Uh-huh.
on with her long braids and her
Mhm.
long curved red nails, her short crop shirt, and her Daisy Dukes. And in the background, what you hear? Ain't nothing but a hoochie mama.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know, that's literally
Boom.
she's when you Google that, that's what comes up. She comes up. And that was on purpose. And of course they were making fun of her, and she was the girl that nobody wanted, but she was also the girl that they wanted sexually. She wasn't being married and things like that, like Nia Long, or scooped up or wifed up. But that's
But
why. So I'm never
But
gonna talk negatively about it. But unfortunately, the spaces that I'm in, I can't publicly be pro hoochie, unfortunately.
no, absolutely.
now, however, so she did have that aesthetic. But if you pay close attention to her and to the she he she had money. So I don't know if she was working or whatever, but she had her stuff together because you saw she had the car, she had the look, and that takes that takes money. And I don't know again if she was working or not, but she had it like that. Because didn't they call her and ask her for some money?
I believe
Mm.
so. Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
they did.
but Craig was just broke. But
Right.
like he had a broke brain. Let's be
Well, he did
let's
lose
be
his
clear
job.
about that. Like I ain't about to
but
like.
but about the so my point on that is okay. So I went to LSU in the '90s, and that hoochie aesthetic was all over campus. The girls from New Orleans, I mean, they bought it. They were always looking good, dressed. Some of that was hoochie aesthetic. They had the crinkle hair and the bobs, but when I tell you that those girls were unmatched with intelligence, those girls graduated from Warren Easton, McDonald 35 at the top of their class. They bought it. You hear me? You wanted to be on their level academically. So don't let the aesthetic fool you. A lot of these girls and women, they were on their game. They were on their shit.
Oh yeah, it's no indication of, well, at least we know it's no indication of intelligence. We know that because we know
Right.
people. We look at them, like, just go back to race again. We look at them as people who dress like this, as opposed to the label of
Right.
hoochie or the label of whatever. We look at them as people. And so we know that you can dress however. You could have the exact same outfit on as 10 other girls and have 10 other, 10 different GPAs. You know what I mean? Because we look at them as
Mm-hmm.
individuals. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
make a little side note. Every time you talk about home or growing up, your accent comes out, and I think it's so cute. I don't know if you noticed
Aw,
that.
I don't notice it, but thank you.
It's hilarious. But
Matter
yeah,
of
no, we
fact,
look at them as individuals. And that's why it's easy for me to know that, of course, these girls were smart. I went to FAMU. Like, I went to FAMU in the 2000s,
Right.
but it was early 2000s, so we still had that aesthetic. It was a different version, but we still had that aesthetic. And these girls were at the top of their class, And guess what? Here's
Yes.
another thing: some of them weren't, but that doesn't make their
Mm-hmm.
worth any less. You know what I mean?
Right. And even the ones that weren't at the top of their class, their street smarts, you couldn't beat it. You couldn't beat it. Like I would go out with any one of them on any given time and know I'd be safe because they'd be like, girl, no, come over here.
no, not
That's just
everybody.
how they
Right.
were.
Once again, I
Right.
say it's good and evil and everything. So,
There is.
like,
And to be honest, most of the girls that I friended from the New Orleans area, I am still friends with today.
so I'm sharing a quick picture, and I was gonna bring this up. They basically wearing the same thing. There's one of them a little
Child.
bit
Yep.
higher. So
Let's
we
talk about that.
always put
Mhm.
our attention, but Nia was sporting the same thing. If we look at some
Yep.
other parts of it, you feel me? It's like, it's
And
like
that
this
had to be intentional. Think about this. This is a movie, which means they went months before actually making this movie, and they had a wardrobe
Mhm.
stylist. You know what I mean? So they had to do that on
Right.
purpose. They
Because
wanted Nia
look
to still be
Nia's skirt.
sexy. Yeah.
boom. Like
But her shirt is
so
a little longer.
just a little bit
Mhm.
longer. And a little bit longer ain't nothing more. But
She
the
didn't have
fact
no
that
weave. You know how certain members of our people
but you didn't
like to
always have to have a
chain
weave to
weave.
have that either though.
Right.
Nope.
No, but I'm saying because I'm sure that was intentional because she didn't have the long, super long braids, super long nails. They're trying to say that she's a quote wifeable girl because she wasn't like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely agree. And
I
I gotta
mean, but
ask,
his sister too,
all throughout, you know,
because she
like
had the bob, and then she came out and she was putting braids in, but she had the aesthetic too.
You know what? Pull up Regina King's character. What she had on that
Yeah.
movie. Let's analyze this real quick.
so when I'll bring that up too, it's if we talk, you know, here on Everything Culture, we always talk about, you know, we never support shame here, you know, unless, especially, we don't support shame when it's not harming other people.
Mhm.
When someone's not harming nobody, just out there celebrating life and trying to figure this thing out, just because you disagree with it for whatever reason, publicly or privately, it don't mean get you to the point that I won't make them feel bad for doing something different than I'm doing or something different than what I think. Because when we can celebrate somebody's culture without disrespecting them, okay, disrespecting others. So, quickly, Jennifer, where you from? We may ask.
No, you fine. St. Louis, Missouri. I was actually at work the other day and I was speaking to an older Black gentleman and we were talking and he said, you know, sweetie, where you from? I say, here. He said it don't sound like it. I said, well, you know, my mother's people are from Mississippi. So I had to make myself say it and not lean so much into the accent. He's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm looking up Regina. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. I'm just seeing where I know we got a little bit of what is it? Atlanta, we got Florida, we got New Orleans, we have no, hold on. Yeah, New Orleans. Now we got St. Louis, and of course I'm Houston. Well, East Texas in total. So, you know, we just got to represent what cultures we represent and talking about. So I did pull up some video. I can't find a good picture of Regina. Excuse me, allergies trying to whoop my ass too.
Yeah, because she was kind of in and out. Now that I think of the movie, she kind of, you know, she was either leaving.
She was getting the perm. She was laying on the side. Now
She was leaving with her boyfriend.
Is that a strike too?
She got the belly button showing. I think the appearance of the belly button has to be shown. Okay. Now here in different movies, she had it a little bit different. Lord, I really appreciate it.
Give Regina King her flowers. Somebody need to honor her very soon.
Please.
Like,
absolutely.
Yes, please.
Like Little Brenda with the Jerry curl on 227. Come on.
From 227.
Right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, she didn't have a Jerry curl. My bad. She had Countess Vaughn had the Jerry curl, but she still had the little ponytail with the sponge roller in the front.
I need to reach out to him.
Yep.
Oh, hey, Court. Welcome, Court. Let me see how long we've been in here. But yeah, so now we got another Floridian up in there. Okay.
Period. We taking over this thing. I'm playing. Whatever.
Hey everybody. Now what's
Court.
about Florida?
Hello.
Right. What was that? What
we love y'all. You know, I gotta
something about Florida?
You know, right. I'm just here. I'm in Seattle now, so I got to be a little softer.
Just here. No, we were talking about where everybody's from, and he was trying to tell us how Florida is the best state in the country, and I agree.
Nah, I ain't never said that.
Absolutely.
I ain't never said that.
Right, you know the truth.
I ain't ever said that. Oh, you know, I would say.
Listen, I wouldn't even say that, and I'm from Florida. I was totally joking. The devil is a lie. I don't even live there.
Lord, you got to keep your eye open on Florida. Florida is like that.
Yeah, I am forced to agree with that statement.
Absolutely, child. Had to get out.
I appreciate a lot of people from Florida, but Florida, like, man, you just got to get. Hey, once again, it's like being. We call these different states, but they're in the South, Texas, Florida. Now let's go up to New York. Even New York and Maryland, they so different, even though it's so close together. California. Washington, these are almost like different countries. We like you keep going the way it's going, we can start speaking different languages. Like damn near that.
Different languages, some accents and dialects and different, even different Southern accents. Like the slight differences are, you know, another language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Florida already have their own language. You have to seriously sit there and mentally slow down what they're saying. And so
does Atlanta.
As nicely as And one of my best friends is from Orlando. I have to mentally slow down what he says.
And
So
I bet
does
you she call it
Atlanta.
Orlando. I bet you she call it Orlando.
Yeah, how we talk up here.
Once again, it's every different place. And my thing is, because when I be interviewing folks, I'm like, I can get, but that's why I also do this podcast here too. Let's bring it all up, because I'm telling you, when I used to do the work in child welfare, parents used to come in and say certain things, and other people like, I have no idea what this person has said, and I'm like, let me break it down to you what they're trying to communicate to you, and I'm like almost like a translator. I'm like, is that what you're trying to perceive to everyone else? Yes, gotcha. They this is why we're here. So it's good, and I always say with us, especially with Black people, we're still trying to find our tongue. Okay. I saw that what is it, Gail Bean? Shout out to Gail Bean. I was like, she made me want to learn sign language. I used to want to learn sign language back in the day, but I need to bring that back. Something that, basically we know how to communicate with each other outside of everyone else, even though some people still can pick up, but a lot of other cultures and communities have a line of communication with each other, and we do not. We do.
Are you talking about the actress from Snowfall?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like her.
Am I talking about? I think that's her.
And look,
I saw
I'm not even
Dominique
gonna hold you.
Fishback.
No, you're
That's what you're
right.
talking about.
Dominique
Yeah.
Fishback. My bad.
Yeah,
I
she
like
just
both
did an
of them.
interview with sign language. Yeah.
Yes.
The one from
Yeah, I'm
from what's it called? Swarm. The one from Swarm.
Yeah. I know you're talking about Swarm
Yeah.
and that movie with Jamie Foxx, Power.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not gonna hold you. I code switch a lot, because if I spoke in my Southwest Louisiana accent, y'all wouldn't understand a damn thing I'm saying, because it's Frenchy and it's fast. We speak fast down here, so I have to always remember to slow it down, so y'all understand what I'm saying. Other than that, like if I'm with a group of people from Lafayette, y'all not.
Yeah, you ain't from New Orleans. You from that's I couldn't confirm you from New Orleans tonight. Like, but New Orleans got a different way of speaking than other people in Louisiana.
Yeah, we don't sound like them either.
Yeah. And being from East Texas, like people used to tell me like I talk like I'm chewing molasses at the same time. Like, but at the same, like I don't hear it until even when I play it back, I can hear it a little bit. But the thing is, when I was really, numbers going up on TikTok and things, one of my classmates, white girl, hit me up like, hey, what happened to your accent? Like, what you talking about? Then I had somebody on my show that is also from East Texas, like still in East Texas. Hear them speak, I see. I love it though. But we have an extreme drawl, more than Houston, because I don't talk like I'm from Houston. I talk like I'm from East Texas. But
let me tell you something. Fascinating thing that I've done as a part of my studies is study Black accents and the origins of them and why they are how they are, and like how most of them derive, not there's different parts of it too, but derive from West African languages. And like, for instance, the habitual be, the word be, how we say he be doing that all the time and why he always be doing it. Like, I grew up
right.
Respectability politics. I grew up being told that was wrong, that was ghetto, that was bad. It was all negative, because that's how Black people talk. And then I found out that there is a habitual be in West African languages. I can't specifically remember which one, where when you're indicating always, you don't have a word for always. So in that language, you say be. So I can say Drake be saying once again. I can say that. But the quote unquote proper way is Drake always says once again. You know what I mean? But there's no word for always, so we say be. And so I've always been told that I've literally had white people in my face say, "What's up, girl? What you be doing, girl?" and using it wrong. You know what I mean? Because we don't never say what you be doing, because that don't make no damn sense. Like, there's a purpose for that, for the habitual be.
And quickly. I was gonna say something on TikTok, but I let the woman make it. Because some people can't handle that type of pressure. But I've yet to see a white person use "bye, Felicia" in the correct term and context.
Absolutely not.
and And I'm still like, yo, y'all really drugged this to them. Y'all really
and ruined it. There are rules to how we speak because it is a dialect. We are not just making up.
Right.
But that's the point I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We are still creating. I won't say like you can say making up, but it's natural.
Absolutely.
Same thing with Snoop Dogg, E40, Too Short. Like the Bay Area is so influential. You know, once in Texas, like when we talking about trill, and I start hearing other people saying trill. Wait a minute, what you know about?
Yeah.
This ain't you. When you know, hold up now, it's going down. Already is legit. Like people don't understand when I be tweeting like, "Hey man, already," like, and they're like, "What you talking about it for?" I'm like, like, and some people may not still understand what I already mean. You know, if I tell my black, like, and sometimes with black people, we get the feeling from
I don't
the
know
word.
what all means in that context, but maybe because I'm not from Houston town.
Already is just like, man, I agree with you. I'm proud. It's like I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
Like you know, like, oh, you're going out tonight. That's what's up. Basically, already it's like that's what's up. Already, baby, you making that happen. It's something making it's positive. When you hear already, you use something positive. Or what's the word? C word I'm looking for. Dang, look, I'm losing my vocabulary right there, you know, because I'm also I'm been a part of the respectability politics, but I kick that in saying I'm both. I can be both, but the connection is really, it's like I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of the word.
Confirm or I think I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it though.
But this is why as I really started writing and getting into those things, why I had to add griot to this particular platform, because most people don't know what that is. But as I began to really research that, a griot is a West African term for a historian. And what they do, and it's and the history of a culture is given orally from father to son, or from father to son, from mother to daughter, or father to daughter, or mother to son. And when there are no more griots, then the history of a people is written down. And the thing that I've always thought so dynamic about us as a people is the ability to make language, because we also know that in making language, we also make culture. Because again, just like with slang, and it has those regional powers or translations. The thing that is so wild, with for the part of Missouri where I'm at, depending on, again, because some people, when they hear me speaking, and the marvelous Tina can attest to, depending on how comfortable I am with you, the accent will be in full force. And the thing is, people are like, well, Jen, where are you from? That's the first, where are you from? And I'm like, well, if you do, with me being, a back porch linguist, St. Louis, where I was born, is this cloister of all these different languages, because St. Louis was actually a destination on these great migration tracks. My people came from Macon and Mount Bayou, Mississippi, and they came north this way. And some of my family went to Chicago, some went west. But the thing that is so dope about St. Louis is there is a distinct accent. If people are from here, you can actually hear that accent on how we elongate R's. And as Christian was saying, even and you hear that West African influence on how we roll our D's, right? And I didn't even notice that until there was another linguist on TikTok who said that. And I'm like, rolling D's. And I was like, and I'm like, oh, that's where it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Florida,
like,
some Florida people do that as well.
Right. And you be like, what? Because language is so intimate for us, it does sound weird for anybody else who's been, quote unquote, exposed to culture. Now you want to take language, and it doesn't sound right. Yeah. Because we can tell when you've just been around people or dated people versus being in the culture. Just like if I were to tell Christian or Tina, oh, girl, she out there being fast. Now, as Black women, amen, we know how loaded that term is. So, but we can keep it among one another, which basically means, oh, girl, she was out dating. She's out there being totally grown versus someone white saying, "Oh, you trying to be fast?" He said, "I got to pop you in your mouth because now you stepped outside of bounds. You're using words you don't have a definition for," which is why I think it's so great that Dr. Henry Louis Gates has started. I don't know if y'all heard that he's starting the African American Dictionary.
No.
Yeah, so they're taking submissions for words and now, and I'm like, this is awesome.
That's
awesome.
going to be that's both awesome because I love Skip Gates to an extent.
Yes,
that's both awesome and a little scary because I know how often imitated our culture is, and they're going to find a way, some kind of way to F it up. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little skeptical.
I was just about to say that too. I was like, I'm excited, but just like when I'm looking up griot, like a lot of these things, just like when we have our hymns and we had our Negro spirituals, these things wasn't written.
Right.
It took for it, just like playing spades. I'm looking at every single person, Black person that know how to play spades. This is for you. It may feel uncomfortable at times, okay? But you're learning something that is going to be important for your survival in the community, how we can come across. Oh, I watched a movie recently. Hold on, before I get to that movie, but Negro spirituals, they couldn't write this down. They shouldn't have wrote it down. That was easy for the enemy.
Oh, I got a whole thing about that.
Okay. But when you're singing and you're just praising, and the thing is you're leaving messages. And they tell you to show up at church. They tell you go there, but I don't want to do this. Well, you're missing the main purpose for where we're trying to get you this freedom. And you're not going to understand the language when it's time to move. Okay. And there's in a lot of other areas. But a lot of people, let me go to the movie. Avatar. I watched Avatar 2 this weekend or the other day. Ooh. Like I've never seen such appropriation. And it's try to like they did it in the first one, but they really just continue to show more in the second one.
Right.
And I'm like, but just like with, and these are things what they did in Avatar, what they did in real life. They did just with the Black people, with the indigenous people of this continent right here. Learning their language, getting somebody to learn their language. Christian says it best. Like only way to really keep people oppressed if you have one of the oppressed to agree with it or support it.
Yeah, you have to have participation from some of the oppressed in order for successful oppression. That's the only way it works. And that's not just racism. That's any type of oppression. I don't care if it's sexism, whatever, ageism. If somebody doesn't agree, that people that are oppressed or you're trying to oppress, if they don't agree that they're less than and participate, then it doesn't work. Because you can't physically make anybody do anything. You got to get them in the mind first.
Right. And with our music and with our songs, still to this day, that we have a message but it shows because you can tell when you have industry plants and things of that nature, messages used to be in our music a lot more.
Which is why, go finish your point. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, I was saying this is why we as a people, as a culture, cannot be anti-intellectual. It flies in the face of our entire. Use this vernacular. It flies in the face of our entire history.
Yes,
there's never been a time where Black people were stupid. That's never been. Which is why I get so aggravated when us as a people say, "Well, you're trying to be white. How am I doing that?" And then when you ask them that, or people who that's also rooted in slavery, because
I was just about to say that
we also know that those of us who were seen as more intelligent, those particular enslaved people were taken and sold. So the only way you could protect them is to shrink them, and we still are doing that. To the point that, again, me being born in 81, I remember, and every Black person has faced this, seen this, or witnessed this. What you gonna name the baby? What are you going to name the baby? To the point that way, the oppressor does not know the child is Black until they get there. And I am completely aware that my first name has granted me entry in rooms that had people
Oh my
know
God.
But
that it has granted me a level
Let me
of
raise my
privilege
hand
that
on that because I got something to say about that.
if I had been named, let's just say Jessica or Keisha in 1981, that there are certain rooms because that name sounds more Black than Jennifer does. I've also been accused of quote unquote having a white girl name. Not sure what that is. Because my bass drum kick, as it relates to anti-intellectualism, is it flies in the face of my entire culture. There is never a time where Blackness is really associated with stupidity until we come to chattel slavery, where it is safer for the child to be seen as dumb or slow to keep families together. Which here we go again, which is why language, in my opinion, is so intimate and so powerful amongst us as a people, because it binds us.
And I'm gonna interject, and I see your hand, Christian. We know you're here, okay? And we got Courtney, Christian, Tina. All right, Jay, you may be the exception, okay?
All right. But I gotta tell you something about that Tina, though. But go ahead.
Okay, but Jennifer, when you're expressing about it with the families, it was not only you were sold off. You could be, killed. All right, you'll be beaten.
Yeah.
You would look like we were not allowed to read. Do we understand that?
Yeah. I had to reckon with this and talk to, some girlfriends of mine that actually came to tears one day. And I'm like, I would be murdered for what I do right now.
Exactly.
I would be murdered for what I do right now.
I want people to understand the severity of that. All right. Like, I had a family member, and I hope she sees and hear this, because I'm trying to tell you that, and I be sending you all my videos, because you be sending me the most numbskull shit. But okay, let me pull out of that. Let me stop cursing too. The point is, it's like I heard them say, "I don't like to read," in front of some youth in my family, and I'm like, no. Not only I hate reading. You're too much. You better act like you like to read. Our grandparents, my grandmother and my grandfather, I found out by doing this podcast, had no more than a 6th or 7th grade education. I think one may have had a 4th grade. Born in 1918. All right, but successful, worked hard, strong in the community, and knowing what their forefathers done before that too. I'd be damned. We about to say we don't want to educate and grow and learn. Come on now. You feel me? What we doing? And would dismiss conversations like we're having right here to being some mess or drama. See it all the time. All right. But back though, and we get back to the names. I am Brandon. I ain't gonna give y'all my full government name, Drake. My mother used to tell me purposely I received that name because everything you just said to get me indoors. But my middle name, my coworkers just know me as Brandon D. Let's just say that. Because she made sure to throw some little bit of in that middle name.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. We see you, Christian. You got next.
First of all, I just want to say that I think your middle name is DeMarcus. But anyway, that's
my brother's middle name though. That's my brother's middle name though.
Go DeMarcus. Okay, I'm joking. But listen. So back to the name. So my name is Christian Joy Demerit. My name is typically, it's a unisex name, but it's typically a white male's name, right? Or a non-Black male's name. A lot of Black people have been naming their sons Christian in the last maybe 20-something years. But usually it's a white male's name. So my parents were pastors. They did that intentionally. It goes back to the idea that there are a couple of ways to combat oppression, in this instance, to combat racism. The main 2 ways that I always think of is you can either fight it militantly. You can say, F that. I don't care what they do. That's racist. I'm going to name my child the most African-American name I can think of. And when I say African-American, I do mean African-American. I don't mean African, because we have that sect of people that name their children African names too. Nothing wrong with that, of course. But I'm talking about African-American names that are originally African-American. And there's a whole list of those. I think Keisha is one of them. I got to look it up, but it's like listed somewhere. But yeah, we have those people who are like, man, F that. You should hire my child no matter what. I'm gonna name my child this very Black name, and if you don't, I'm gonna sue you, or I'm gonna fight against it, or I'm gonna talk about it, or whatever. Then you have those people who, and there's nothing wrong with this either, who assimilate and say, listen, we got enough problems. I'm gonna go ahead and name my child whatever to get them in the door, and then if it goes down after that, then we'll fight however we need to fight. I've been both those people at times in my life. The ones that are either going to be super militant or the ones that are going to assimilate. People do what they do to have to cope with whatever oppression. I'm not blaming either one, because truth of the matter is, we're not supposed to be fighting each other. We're both fighting one common enemy. You understand? So we shouldn't be mad because we're coping with oppression however we're coping with it. So I get both sides. But my original point, and I don't know if we're going back to the hoochie thing or not, but I think of it as divisive, how most of the time people, us quote unquote victims or people who have been oppressed, we get so distracted by the microaggressions and fighting each other and even being upset at how we deal with it. Even back to integration and segregation. There were Black people who were pro-segregation because they felt like it would just be easier to just be around Black people and not have to deal with racist white people. Yeah, you might get worse books in the school system, and you might not get the best resources from the government, but at least you don't have to deal with being lynched. At least you don't have to deal with being, whatever. We have the way now, we got that side. And then you got the other side who are like, listen, I am not an animal. I am not less than. Allow us to integrate, allow us to get better resources, better books, and allow us to move into your neighborhoods. And, we can be a good Negro for you. And I ain't saying I'm on one side or the other. What I am saying is there are some people who integrated and left the community and never looked back. There are some people who prided themselves. Prided, is that the past tense of pride? Prided themselves in being the only Black people in the neighborhood. Now that I know firsthand, because I've moved into neighborhoods where other Black people were upset that we moved in there. Because now it's like, oh, there goes the neighborhood, more than one Black family, So there are more than one way to what is it? Slice of what is it? Skin a cat.
So I was going nice. I was trying to leave the animals out, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what the term is. But my point is, though, that it's very difficult for us not to get distracted by the quote assimilationist Negroes and the ones that are straight up militant and angry and quote unquote always, the hoteps of the bunch. Sure. When the truth of the matter is, we're not the enemy to each other. We only have one common enemy. That's all I wanted to say.
On you, T.
Yeah, so the Tina thing, my family typically calls me Tina and my close friends or whatever, but my name is Katina. And so people don't know where to put that because it's on both sides, for the most part. But I will tell you this. On both sides is so many people that want to add an R where there is none. Okay. Katrina. My name is not Katrina.
It's Katina.
I've had prescriptions with Katrina on it. I'm like, that is not my name. Stop calling me that. And it's been ever since I was young. Now, the crazy part is, so when I was younger, leaving to go to college, my mom gave me my Social Security card. Okay, she was like, you 18, you should have it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I had to circle back. I had to get my birth certificate from her for something. I get my birth certificate and put it next to my Social Security card, realize my names do not match. They misspelled my middle name on my Social Security card. So the whole time I'm thinking my middle name is spelled a certain way. It's not. Because that's not what's on my birth certificate. So I had been spelling my whole middle name incorrectly and got the general public spelling my first name incorrectly. And I'm like,
let me tell you something.
It's crazy. So I just use Tina to keep it simple, keep it cute, keep it sweet.
I like Katina though.
But because my name is not Katrina. Don't call me that. It pisses me off.
It's important.
It tells me you're lazy.
And that's or disrespectful. And the thing is, that's why we have the pillars of respect, communication, and consistency. My thing is, when I ask people what's their name at time, oh, just call me that. What do you want me to call you? And I don't have any people from the outside of being an American descendant of slavery or being a Black American or African American, however we want to call it. But, I've had some friends from Ghana, have friends from Nigeria, and they go by, I said this before while I started this, man, when we went to left Tyler, Texas, East Texas, and moved to Houston, and I was legit talking to other people, and they're like, "Oh, you from Tyler?" Yeah, so my friend Ubu from Tyler. I'm like, Ubu, Ubu? Like, nah, when you graduate, I'm like, 04. They're like, oh, they graduated with you. What school you went to? I went to JT. They did too. I'm like, Ubu, I know a lot of people. I don't know no damn Ubu, but my friend, I would say Rebecca, she come around the corner. I'm yelling, "What's up, Rebecca?" They yelling, "What's up, Ubu?" A lot of like same thing in the Latin community. I've had people on the show talk about how their parents told them didn't teach them how to speak Spanish. Didn't want to go, because they're like, if you have to learn English, that's it, and like completely remove a language, and now they're teaching their child, their grandchild, how to speak it. And they're like, my child has a language that's I'm completely removed from my culture. My child knows it and I don't. Wow, you know what I mean? So
the same thing happened with us as well. My grandmother, so my grandmother's mother didn't speak English at all. My grandmother spoke English and French. My grandmother didn't want to teach my mother and us how to speak French because she said it was eventually going to go be a dead language, quote unquote. Yeah. But when I started kindergarten, they integrated French into the classrooms. So we were actually taught French from kindergarten until 8th grade. And then once you got to high school, it was an elective. You could take French or Spanish.
Yeah.
And
I just add,
but now she wishes she has taught us. She wishes that she had taught us the French because we are using it.
And I say a lot of things, people do these things to survive. Once again, that removal, because we don't like us all Black people in here right now. We may not speak about it a lot, but I have Latin Mexican friends, and a lot of them, they are treated unfairly. Now, some like you see both sides. You have the, like Christian said, you have the ones that's very pro Mexican Latin culture. Not only Mexican, but any other Latin diaspora that you come from. Then you have the ones that completely want to assimilate. Like, once again, I let them have that conversation in the future. I'd rather not speak on it because once again, everything culture. That's why I bring people on with that lived, learned, or professional experience to have that. But when I tell you, same struggles, we're dealing with colonization, commercialism, all that. Well, more colonization than that, but yeah. And Christian, see your hand.
This conversation, or this part of the conversation, reminded me that of a conversation I had yesterday at the wrap party. So I'm in a movie with this woman who is Southeast Asian, right? So she's Indian. She's from a small place in India. I forgot the name of it, but she moved here when her daughter was like 10 or 11, and she moved to Wisconsin. And it wasn't Milwaukee, so there weren't any Black people. She moved to like a very small area in Wisconsin. And she talked about how her daughter at first, the very first year, she had a thick accent. They were cooking, cultural food. She was coming to school smelling like curries, blah, blah, blah. The story, the quote unquote foreigner story that happens to so many people directly from another country. And so that her daughter chose, and as a kid would do, she chose to pretend she was an Indian, even though she was, she's a dark skinned Indian. She's like, Mom, they make fun of me. They talk about my accent. So because they were talking about her accent so much, she stopped talking. And for her first year in school, the baby didn't talk at all. The teachers thought something was wrong with her. She was only talking at home, and she would only speak English at home, right? She chose to not speak. I don't know what they speak, maybe Hindi, I'm not exactly sure, but she chose not to speak whatever they spoke at home. She refused to eat Indian food. She didn't want her mom cooking it and didn't let her bring it to lunch or whatever. So by the second year, she had turned into a social butterfly. She had all these friends. Of course, they were all white. They no longer made fun of her. She started speaking like them. And this is the story her mother's telling me. And it made me think of every quote foreigners, not every, but most foreigner stories when they come over here, when they bring their children here, you're bringing a child here. So you're in your 30s or whatever, 20s, and you've established yourself, and you might not care as much. You might go to work in your traditional clothing and bring in your curry, and maybe they don't make fun of you to your face, although they probably do in different ways. So you don't have to deal with the social, things that a kid would have to deal with. And most children are going to choose to assimilate because it's simply easier. There's nothing more traumatic in a child's life than being the other. Even if you don't have an accent, even if you quote unquote eat American food. I don't know if y'all have ever seen the show Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
But there's a whole, like, that's pretty much his storyline. Moving here, and I believe it was from China, not exactly sure, and deciding to choose, quote, Black culture and being a big rap fan in the 80s and the 90s because it's what was popular. And that's what made him cool, knowing rap lyrics and knowing Biggie lyrics, and then being friends with the Black kids because they were also the other. So what the saddest thing to me about this entire conversation, I'm never going to stop bringing it up, is that all of these are different methods and different ways of trying to align with whiteness and be accepted by whiteness. That's all it is.
Assimilation.
There's only one enemy, and I keep saying enemy for a reason, because we're literally fighting to be accepted. But accepted by who? Accepted in what way? Why do we do certain things aesthetically to look a certain way? Not anymore. We're grown now. Hopefully we don't do it anymore. But why do we even, I hate to say this too, this is going to be controversial, but even the quote unquote intellectual. Now on paper, I would be considered the quote unquote intellectual because of however many degrees and schooling and all that, whatever. But there's a part of a lot of intellectuals, Black intellectuals, who are called white, who are said they try to sound white, who said they try to act and talk white, who do that shit on purpose to make themselves feel, and they might not be doing it consciously, but to make themselves feel like they are better than. I'm not that type of Negro. I actually complete my sentences with the ing. It's literally. Listen, don't
Christian.
Okay,
You
I'm sorry.
See,
I'm gonna go ahead.
No, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you because I be trying to do the kill point, and Christian just jump in here and like I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna do it for you. I've been over here trying to be cool. And she just jumped in, but I love it. I love it because
this is my life. This is what I do every day, and people don't be trying to hear me, dog. Like,
hey, look, do you think it's a coincidence that I put everything culture, not everything culture?
I love it. I love it.
Like, think about
and it's
that.
Centered. Let me tell you another thing I love about that. All around it, you have different cultures. You have different words with culture in different languages, but in the middle of that is a Black ass culture. Everything, and I love it. But anyway, I digress.
But
on me.
And like, if you look at, I have it in my notes, but it started out, we was 3 Black people sharing our experiences while learning others. You feel me? We can share and learn so we can have more growth. Okay. Mission statement, but it's everything culture. You know how many most people that try to correct me are what? Can y'all guess?
Black people.
Black. Us. I moved up here, a dude like don't know nothing about me. I was buying some furniture. Real spill. We're gonna be on YouTube another 2 minutes, y'all. Buying some furniture. He's one of the guys working. I used to work at that job when I was in college. I understand. Thank you, bro. Me not being kind, but I'm dressed, relaxed. Just came up here to Washington. Don't know how much me and my household bring in at all. But the thing was, when I tell somehow we started talking about I think I had an everything culture shirt on. And he like everything culture. He's something like that. Everything culture. He said something real disingenuous and out of pocket about being there. So I said, I'm like this for a reason. Okay. I got my college school, I got my bachelor's. I'm a wealth of knowledge and experience. I can help you out, player. Don't get and that's what I say, but you are trying to shame me and look down on me. But what I'm trying to do is educate people like you and other people like that, but you're missing out on your moment right there for trying to be messy. You're missing out on your moment for ignorance that other people taught you to be, to try to simulate to something that you're truly not. Okay. But once again, he was a little bit older, but young, I can understand we can try to come into a learning moment, but you get into that point that it's been a habit. We can talk about and pull it back all the way to hoochie culture. Those respectability politics, Same thing with the civil rights movement. I like my wife asked me would I've been in the civil rights movement back in the day. I was like, honestly, with the history I look at and the conversation I had with some of them, I don't know. I probably didn't. We would have to put some hands on some each other back in the day, behind closed doors, of course, because some people are out of pocket and disrespectful, and they don't want to really see everybody lifted up in the community. Same thing how I feel about Kanye. They want themselves to be lifted up, to be the leader of that community. I don't need you to be my leader. I need for my folks to have true freedom. I don't need to be under another what you call it? Not democracy. I'm like, I don't need to have someone else. I'm moving from one owner to another. I don't need that. And it bothers because a lot of people don't care about people. They care about the control of people. All right, but we will keep the conversation going. But YouTube, appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Make sure to check out the most recent episode of Everything Culture, The Makings of Zareen, to hear more about Coochie culture. CoochieCon is next weekend. If y'all can't go, make sure to share. Make sure to share the episode. Make sure to go to our guest TikTok at Crybaby Thug 901, or I think it's Crybaby, but baby with an I, Thug on IG. Don't get confused about the name. Don't get confused about the aesthetic, okay? But when I tell you, yes, Hoochie. I said Hoochie. I did not say that. I said Hoochie. Stop, Christian. Like, if I did, y'all know what I meant. But case in point, don't be confused. Shut up. Did I? Hope I did. I didn't. I did. I may have, but I didn't. But anyway, y'all make sure you go check out the episode, because don't ever judge a book by its cover. All right. Really get to know it. You'll find out they have their degree in performance as well as African-American studies. They have their background in arts, poetry. They're a wealth of knowledge. Once again, they're a very artistic person and a person that knows themselves in their place. But hey, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all, and we'll chop it up with y'all later.